Hello, I'm so glad you could join me today. I am creating a card today for the challenge over at Make the Card Challenge, and the challenge for this week, or this 2 weeks, is a sketch. So I'll be using this sketch to create this card. I'm going to create my own card base as I normally do. I'm making a 5 1/4 inch card, so I've cut my card 10.5 by 5 1/4, and I've scored and folded that at 5 1/4 inches. The papers I'm going to use for this card are from Denise Bodie Designs. Now the first piece here is called Garden Letters, and I'm going to cut a 5-inch square piece out of the centre of this piece of paper because I wanted to save the tops and bottoms because of that pattern that's there. I can easily use that as fussy cut elements or page embellishments, whatever. So I'm cutting a 5-inch square piece out of the centre of that. I'm also going to cut a 4 3/4 inch piece of pattern paper from the paper called Song Blossom. So this is from the same Le Jardin Romantique paper range by Denise. And this piece, as I said, is going to be 4 3/4 inches square, and I want that sort of goldy pattern as the part of the paper that I'm going to use on this card. So I'm cutting that down so that I get that nice even pattern. Then I'm going to use 3 or 4 strips of the Nature's Romance. I'm going to use the plainer blue side of this for my strips across my card, and I'm cutting them to 3/8 of an inch wide. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz distressing tool to distress the edges of all of those papers that I've cut, including the 3/8 strips. I'm also going to use my sponge applicator and distress ink in the colour Vintage Photo to go around the edge of each one of those papers, giving it a nice distressed look. Now that my papers are nicely distressed, I'm going to use my art glitter glue and attach those 2 layers to my card front. To add some texture and interest to the card front, I'm going to use a piece of this tulle. It's got a bit of a sparkle to it. It looks quite pretty, and I'm going to trim that down to the size of my largest pattern paper, which is about 5 inches square, and I will be using that on my card front. Now I'm not going to attach that to the card front per se. I'm going to use my embellishments to hide the glue to hold this in place. So the sketch has 4 strips of something going across the top left hand section of the card. So I'm going to use that pattern paper that I cut, those 3/8 of an inch strips. I'm going to trim them down to size and then attach them to the card on top of the mesh, and the glue that I'll use will hold not only the strip in place but also the mesh in place. So I'm just going to work my way through those 4 strips, and I will distress the edges that I cut when I cut them down to size and attach the 4 strips in place. To create some embellishments for this card, I have stamped and heat embossed this flower using the Craft Barn stamp and die set called Primrose, and I have cut that from the pattern paper called Enchanted Florals. The other embellishments I have cut fussy cut elements from the Elegance collection, the same by Denise Bodie once again, and I will distress, ink and attach those to my card front. Now the large flower and the half moon shape sort of thing, half circle, are attached flat to the card. I actually cut the flower in half and stuck half on each end, sort of hidden behind the top piece, which was that fussy cut Morning Glory flower, and I mounted the Morning Glory flower onto some foam tape before I attached that to my card front, so that we've got a bit more dimension there, just adding a little more interest to the card. I have a little bow that I tied from a piece of that off-cut mesh, and I'm going to just attach that to my little flower cluster there. So I wanted a thank you card. A friend had done me a favour and I wanted to send them a thank you card. So I had a choice of using this Photoplay die, which cuts the letters separately, and then a shadow die, and I cut that in gloss gold cardstock and matted it onto white, or to use this Uniquely Creative Brush Script Sentiments die and either cut that in black cardstock or pearlized gold cardstock. So I had to play around with the three options, and in the end I decided that the gold was too dark for me. The thanks with the white background I didn't really like the look of that with the white background, because there wasn't really any other white on the card. So I ended up going with the pearlized gold, thank you, and I used my art glitter glue to attach that to the front of the card. So it's just sitting flat on the card, it's not mounted on foam or anything like that. I did ink around the edge of it once again with the Vintage Photo ink, just so that it tied in with everything else that's on the card front. I used my reverse tweezers to hold the sentiment while I attached the glue. If you haven't got a pair of these tweezers, you really do need to have a look at buying a pair, because they are invaluable. Anyway, that's it for me for today. If you're not already a subscriber to my channel, I'd love it if you would subscribe. If you click that bell next to the subscribe button, you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. So I will put a link below to the products I've used, and also to the challenge over at Make That Card Challenge site, and you have 2 weeks to create your card and attach it to the album, so you can be in the running to be a winner. So yeah, once again, thank you for joining me here today, and I hope you can join me for my next video. Bye.